certification. Mr. Lester?
Yes, ma'am. Got it. Thank you. This is certification in closed session pursuant to subsection 2.237D of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended. Each member of the Board of Supervisors, upon roll call, certifies that, to the best of their knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters that were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the Board of Supervisors. Any member of the Board of Supervisors who believes that there was a departure from the requirements shall state so prior to the vote, indicating the substance of that departure in his or her judgment has taken place. Are there any supervisor who believes a departure has taken place? Since there is none, if you agree to the matters heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting were pursuant only to the motions by which the closed meeting was convened, please signify by saying yea or yes. Tim Lovelace.
Yes.
Luann Wallace.
Yes.
Carl Ray.
Yes.
Steve Breeding.
Yes.
David Eaton.
Yes.
Rebecca Dye is absent. And Norris Christian.
Yes.
Ma'am, you have approval to turn to regular session.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'm going to ask that we rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. God, we thank you for your mercy and your blessings and your grace. And God, as we come before you now, Lord, we ask that you forgive us where we fail you. And Lord, as we tend to your business, God, may be pleasing in your sight. Please give us direction in everything that we do. And we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask for an approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, we have two changes to the agenda. First is the change the Feeney Community Center to the Drill Community Center on the selection of committee members. And also at the request of the county attorney that we add in the advertising of the ordinance.
And that's going to be at the county attorney reports and requests.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to ask for approval of the amended agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion we approve the agenda as amended.
We have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Lester, at this time, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First is I want to open up the floor for the nominations for the Russell County Board of Supervisors Chairman. I'll take the first nominee.
I nominate Luann Wallace for chair.
I nominate Steve Breeding.
Is that all the nominations? If that's all the nominations, I need a motion for the nominations to be closed.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. We'll proceed to the vote in reverse order.
Oh, we need to vote on the motion to close the nominations.
Did we? We didn't. I'm sorry. Go ahead and vote on closed nomination. Sorry about that.
Aye.
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 David. Okay. Since nominations are closed, we'll proceed to the vote in reverse order with a show of hands. Steve.
I was just going to say the name.
Yeah, show of hands. First one, Steve Brady. Show of hands. Luann Wallace. there is a tie. So when there is a tie, and legal counsel can emphasize on this if she needs to, if there is a tie, the current chair stays in place until the next official meeting. So
Well,
with-
officially, the motion fails, so nobody passed, so the chair would remain in place until, and this cannot be brought up unless there was a 2/3 vote to take up this matter again. Tonight.
Tonight.
We need to clarify that
Tonight.
tonight, not at the next.
That is correct. So with that being said, since it is tabled, do we want to proceed with the selection of the vice chair? We can go ahead in the same process. Madam Chair, you're still the chairman of the Russell County Board of Supervisors. You can proceed if you need with the vice chair position.
I'll proceed. And
Yes,
we'll see-
ma'am.
We'll see how the vote lies.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll accept a motion for the vice chair of the Russell County Board of Supervisors for this organizational meeting.
I'd like to nominate David Eaton.
We have a motion for Mr. Eaton on the floor. Do I hear another motion?
I'd like to nominate Oris Christian.
We have a motion for Oris Christian on the floor. Do I hear a motion to close, or do I have further motions?
Motion to close, Madam Chair.
I take that motion to
I'll
close.
second it.
Thank you. All in favor to close?
Aye.
Now I'm going to take it in reverse order. I have Mr. Oris Christian as vice chair of the Russell County Board of Supervisors for the next year. All in favor? Oh, I'm going to ask for a hand. Raise your hands, please, for Oris Christian. I got 3 votes for Oris Christian. I'll take Mr. David Eaton. I have 3 votes for David Eaton. We have a tie. Madam Attorney.
Yes, ma'am, that would, it just failed, so you'll have to take it up at the next meeting unless there's a 2/3 vote to take up those nominees again.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So moving on to the clerk. So Mr. Christian will remain as our vice chair until next meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Clerk of the board and deputy clerk. I'll entertain a motion for that.
Motion to appoint Lonzo Lester and Vicky Porter.
I'll
I have a motion for that. Any further motions? I need a second.
I'll second that.
I got a second from Mr. Christian. I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Adoption of Robert's Rules of Order, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Eaton. Thank you, Mr. Breeding. I have a motion and a second to adopt Robert's Rules of Order for the Board of Supervisors. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Also, moving on to the adoption of the county bylaws. Those are in your packet. Any additions or corrections that you would like to make at this time, or I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Are those the same? There have been no changes to the bylaws.
No, and
Okay.
they actually require that you give,
Yeah.
You have
notice
to have
before any
notice.
changes.
I'll make a motion, we approve
I'll
those.
second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? We had a little bit there, Mr. Breeding. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 6 in the organizational meeting, the 2023 Board of Supervisors regular scheduled meetings. Those are in your packet. They are normally the first Monday of the month, which is normal for all of us. We do have exceptions for holidays, but that is how it is. So
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair, to accept those.
thank you, Mr. Eaton. I have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have number 7, the 2023 Board of Supervisors budget meeting schedule. Now, this is a question for you, Miss Attorney. As chair, acting chair today. Do I still have the right to put a budget committee together? Mr. Lester is shaking his head.
I mean, as chair you do. I mean, I think that would be, up to the board how you want to proceed given what happened with the votes. But as chair, you have that legal authority.
All right. I'm going to ask tonight that this board will accept my nominees for the budget meeting, which is every one of us. Can you supply some time for these budget meetings, all of us together, to make this budget happen for the next coming year? Not just 2 members, but all of us.
Yeah, it will have to be
I'm-
advertised.
Yes, it will be advertised and it'll be open.
I'm hearing nods. We are having a consensus. Yes.
Yes.
All right. I'm asking to do that. So you're going to move with that, right, Mr. Lester?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Number 8. Oh, gosh, we finished. All right, moving on to new business. I need approval of the minutes, please.
So moved.
Second.
I have an approval, a motion for approval of the minutes, and I have a second. Any discussions? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is approval of,
Sorry. We approved the committee, but you got to approve the schedule too. We got to approve the budget schedule.
oh, I said that was in there. All right. I asked them to commit, remember?
Yes.
All right. Your schedule is in there. We need an approval of the schedule. Please look at this budget schedule. This is month to month to get us through to July 1.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Eaton. I appreciate that. I need a second.
Second.
I got several. I'll take one of them. Anyway, Mr. Breeding, you got some discussion?
No, we're good. I've looked at it earlier.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we're going for the approval of expenditures.
Did you miss number A, unapproved minutes?
We did that. Number 1, unapproved minutes for December 5th.
Sorry.
Number 2, approval of expenditures.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. I need a second to pay the bills.
Second.
Got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're coming under new business to item number 3, committee appointments for board consideration. The Budget and Finance Committee I've already asked you about, so we have agreed on that. Next, we're coming to the Drill Community Center.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to can I do these as a slate?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint these members back onto the Drill Community Center as a slate.
I'm going to second that for you, Mr. Eaton.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're coming to the Russell County Industrial Development Authority, the IDA. We regret that we have lost a member during this season, and so we have, we're going to need to replace Mr. Roger Sword. So I'll entertain a motion for a new member on the Russell County IDA.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Nate Kaiser.
Okay, we have a nomination for Nate Kaiser.
Okay, I'd like to nominate Ron Blankenship.
And we have a nomination for Ron Blankenship. I will take it in reverse order. All in favor for Ron Blankenship to be a member of the Russell County IDA, which will fulfill Mr. Roger Sword's term, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you all for shaking your head. Okay, we have, help me out.
Ron Blankenship.
Ron Blankenship. I keep wanting to call him Rob. Ron Blankenship is up for the term on the Russell County IDA. All in favor? Let's do a hand.
Show of hands.
What do we got? 3?
3.
All right. All in favor for Nate Kaiser? We've got 3. We have a tie.
Motion fails.
Motion fails.
We'll set that out till February. Next, we're moving on to the Heart of Appalachia. Member is a 2-year term. We have a new member, Shiloh Little, which will be our DMO, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is by law, so we're working under the standards of Virginia General Assembly. So I'll entertain a motion for Shiloh Little.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. I have a motion and a second for Shiloh. Any more discussion? Thank you. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're moving on to the Cumberland Mountain Services. We put Mr. Eric Brown on there. He said they sent a letter, and now Mr. Brown has declined.
I have Aaron Feeser, which is the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Honaker.
Okay. I'm assuming that Mr. Feeser is.
Feeser.
Can you spell that for us?
AARONFEZZER.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll get you his contact.
We'll let him know. Okay. All right. We have a motion by Mr. Eaton for an Aaron Feeser. I'll entertain another motion. And if you've got anybody,
Make a motion the nomination cease. We elect the gentleman by acclamation.
Mr. Feeser by acclamation. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next we're coming up on the citizens' comment period. I'm going to limit you to 3 minutes. And I have one. Carter McLaughlin.
Well, it's been a minute since I've been up here, but anyway, it's good to see all y'all again. I hope you had a good Christmas and stuff and holidays. But I'm here with a concern. I was, as you well know, in November of 21, there were some charges. I was currently serving on the PSA of Russell County, and there were some charges that was instigated, of course, by the chairman of the PSA then at the time. But anyway, it never went anywhere. And once the Commonwealth, everybody looked at it, everything was cleared with that. But during that time, in January of 22, this board temporarily suspended me from the PSA due to the fact there was charges. In July, all these charges were completely dismissed and stuff. And so I'm just requesting, to come back to my position on the PSA as the law states it should be. And that the Board of Supervisors is first, and then secondly, you go to the circuit court clerk. That's the second line with that. So I just thought I would bring that up, and let you know about that. I have one other concern. I came to a PSA meeting in December, as a citizen, and the chairman of the PSA refused to let me speak. Okay. And, I just think that's pretty serious, that's pretty serious. I mean, it's right there in its public record. Refused to let me speak at the PSA. So I have some concerns about this and the direction that we're headed. Our PSA has been great for years. I've served on it from the time I was on the Board of Supervisors, with our water projects and mains, and everything's went very, very good all these years. And all of a sudden, we're having this animosity or whatever. And that's not the way it should be. That's not the way it should be. We just need to be here for the citizens of Russell County. And anyway, I'll just stop at that. And I've got any documentation or anything that you may want to see or hear. Okay. And I do appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. We appreciate you. I will. That's all that's on our list to speak publicly. If anyone else has anything that they'd like to say, I'll open the floor to the public. If you'd like to come up and say anything. Comment time.
Charlie Hess, East Lebanon District. I guess since everyone's on the budget committee, it's an open meeting to the public.
That is.
That is correct, sir.
We welcome you. Anyone else? Complete transparency. Thank you very much. All right, I'll close public comments. Now we're at the point, we're at our county attorney reports and requests, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item that I have for the board is a lease for the Finney disposal site. After the board approved a couple of leases in October, some new property owners came forward stating that they own that property, and it actually took a lot of digging by the county administrator to pull up a survey, but we were able to verify that and work all that out. So I've provided an amended lease for one tract for one of those leases, and it's ready for the board to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve that.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Ray to approve the new amended Finney disposal site lease.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have 2 seconds. I appreciate that.
Just a second.
Any further discussions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries on the new Finney site. Number 2, Russell County IDA Revenue Bond Moral Obligation in your packet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is more just an FYI for the board. At this point, I told Lonzo to go ahead and put it on the agenda in case we had the information that we needed. I do not have the proposed moral obligation for the county to approve, but we hope to get that in February, and so I'll include that in the board's packet if I have that after I'm to review it. But it's a request by the IDA for one of their projects.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our amended piece for you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was requested of me to review and provide my thoughts or changes to a proposed ordinance that would deal with abortion clinics. I have drafted one that, in my opinion, is legally sound, and I give it to the board for their consideration on how to proceed.
Katie, do we need to advertise that? Is that correct?
Yes, the code requires that it be advertised for 2 weeks, and the second publication can't be sooner than 1 week after the first publication. So typically when we do these ordinances, you go ahead and advertise it between now and the next meeting if that's how the board wants to proceed.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and advertise this ordinance.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to advertise said ordinance. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. And I apologize to the board and to the audience. I skipped the constitutional officers' reports and requests. And do I have any of those here
There's none here,
tonight?
There's none.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to the county administrator reports and requests.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First on the county administrator reports, of course, is the VACO and Rural Center Conference, that reception that we will be in Richmond on January the 18th. That will be with the Board of Supervisors from the 18th and 17th, 18th, and 19th, really. This is the during time legislation. The Board of Supervisors will be visiting certain legislators for current laws that we're trying to get in place, and grants and funding. So this is our time to advocate for Russell County like we do every year. As you see those grants that come throughout the year in various forms, those are from these meetings in the beginning. So we're getting at the front of the budget cycle is what we're doing. So we're sitting and advocating during that period for the Russell County budgets and what laws we want in place. Second thing on county administrative reports is it's that time of year again. The state and local economic interest and financial disclosure, that transparency part. So as a reminder, I've got to have them all by the Board of Supervisors, by February the 1st. We have these in. So if y'all need any of the rest, you can do them online. If you need a hard copy, Loretta has those available to you too.
Mr. Lester, may
Yes,
I
ma'am.
interrupt you and ask a
Yes, ma'am.
question? I have to fill out these for the state, and so they go online. But normally I've been doing these by paper. Can my state conflict of interest? Do I have to do 2? Maybe this is a question for my attorney over here.
So I have to do one for that.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Will So he always accepts the one that I do for the county.
Yes, as long as we have access for verification that has been completed. That's what the auditors review.
My guess would be as long as everything's current. Like if you did one
Yeah,
previously and something was new or something that you would need to supplement. But if as long as the information's the same, I would think it's.
As long as it's on the state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
The FOIA, the Ethics Council, they're trying to get to that to where it's just one. You know, that way you ain't got different versions. Eventually they'll get to that component. Third thing on the county administrator reports is, of course, the VDOT monthly road report system. And as you can see, this update right now, VDOT is not seeking any board action for any form of resolution during this board. But the residency intends to publish the public notice for the discontinuance of 871. That came before the board before, and they wanted to know what they're going to put out a public notice this January, unless the board would prefer to abandon it. So right now, that's the decision before the board. So how to proceed? My recommendation as county administrator, I would recommend you have the public hearing, get the public input from it. That way you can make a sound decision. That way VDOT can also have that input into it and make a sound decision for that Route 871. So
This section of road was concerned about the access to the cemetery.
that is correct. Yes.
So for my own, before we need to vote on this, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so before we do that, I'm going to have my own little discussion here. The Transportation Board, or VDOT, says they're calling it discontinuance.
Discontinuance, that is correct.
Okay, and so you're asking us if we want to do discontinuance or abandonment.
That is correct. So the choice between the board right now is the two. Discontinue it means that VDOT discontinues and the county maintains. Now, if you abandon it, the properties revert back to the original owners. Then they maintain. So that has been the true form in the previous land, because the county does not own any county roads, as y'all know. That way they can upkeep it and maintain it, is to a cemetery. And of course, Nature Conservancy is theirs, and there's a few, just give you a brief summary because it's been a few months ago. There's also wells that are there, gas wells. So the road, they're maintaining the road somewhat for them too, because they need access to the gas wells, and you know, the gas company, coal company is pretty good at maintaining these. But we'll have to make a decision between a discontinuance or abandonment.
Or nothing.
No, you have to do one.
We have one or the other, is my understanding.
One
Now,
or the other.
so I will go on to say that this would set a precedence
Yes.
over what we've got. We own we maintain no roads.
No.
Then, okay, so we're having a discussion here. Mr. Breeding, do you want to put that out there and call for VDOT to bring it in as an abandonment as opposed to discontinuance?
So we have to decide tonight, because that's the way they have to publish it. Does that make sense? Because,
Yes, sir.
Because if they publish it as a discontinuance, then the meeting will. Yes, and you'll have to consider during the public hearing for a discontinuance. If you propose it as an abandonment, then that will be the vote before the public hearing for the abandonment. But currently, again, as many residents here, we have all our family cemeteries. There's many families. There's a lot of them have it. We do not maintain them for them. So you would be opening a Pandora box, this land. It would be fair to give it back to the original landowners. That's what's happened in the past. That's what the boards have in the previous past have done. It reverts back to the original owners.
I will make a motion that we elect to abandon this so that the property can revert back to the original owners.
Okay, I have a motion. I need a second.
How about more discussion?
When we get a second, Mr. Christian, please. I'll give you a second. We have a motion and a second to abandon as opposed to discontinue. And so we're in discussion at this time. Mr. Christian, I'll give you the floor.
Is this brought about the board's attention
because of the ladies that came in and talked to us a while back.
Yes, sir.
And they were more or less wanting us to more or less keep it up, to my understanding.
Yes, sir.
Like I've said, who else has a family cemetery road that is kept up by the county or the VDOT? Don't know of any. Like I said, I would go with not to abandon.
If no action was taken, VDOT would have to continue to maintain.
VDOT will not continue to.
They're not going to continue to maintain. My only concern is the older people that came and spoke. It's going to be pretty hard on them to get up there to the cemetery. I mean, unless they have some sort of. I mean, I have a lot of respect for these cemeteries, and I know we don't have the capacity or capability to help on some of the roads that go to some of the cemeteries, but some of these family cemeteries are pretty sacred. I mean, I would have to abstain from taking any action based on my feelings in my heart toward them being able to access this cemetery, because I don't look for the Nature Conservancy or anybody. Gas well people don't keep them roads up. Well, not like they should. And, I understand what you're saying, but that's just my feeling. That's my personal feeling toward it. I just think it's going to be a hardship on them.
Also, I think they go up there twice a year to do either Sandy Ridge or Rabbit Ridge, and that's just a little piece off there, and it's only 0.039 of a mile on that road.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, as y'all have seen in the literature that provided by by VDOT, the CTB board, Transportation Board, does not consider this an exception. If there was an economic, there was a business there, there was other development there, they would be doing it, but they will discontinue it. They will discontinue it, and what that means, that will fall into the footprint of the Russell County Board of Supervisors. You either discontinue it and take it, or you abandon it. So it's one of the two choices. So
I have sympathy for the property owners too, but I just can't subject the county to that kind of potential liability. I mean, if you do for one, you're going to have to do for all.
I don't want the county to take it. I mean, I'm against that. I just.
We do too, but
I just have a lot of heart and soul with them ladies that came and spoke at night. I mean, they say they've went through this once before, and it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they just. It sounds like to me that we're getting thrown under the bus to make the decision when they're going to do it anyway.
It's a mechanism within the Transportation Board, which has that authority.
I mean, they're going to do it anyway.
They're going to discontinue it.
They're going to do it anyway without board approval. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're going to do it anyway without us.
What if they just discontinue? Then it's ours.
It's yours.
Is that their option? They can do one or the other.
We can help decide one or the other. If we discontinue it.
Yeah, but if we don't do anything, let's say we take no action.
They will put it before the Transportation Board.
And the Transportation Board will.
The authority of the
we'll
state
end up maintaining it.
Yes, you would.
Let's give it to them and put it in their lap.
Yes. And the property owners are there. I mean, if you like Steve said, if you maintain for one, you got to maintain for all. Y'all have not done this before. This would be, a precedence that y'all have never set. So.
I'm with David. I have feeling for the people, but still, you got to look beyond that. I have a family cemetery. It's terrible to get to, but we have to manage to get to it.
I mean, there's no formal road up to the cemetery out in Spring City.
There's no other solution. VDOT has this, and they're throwing it down to the boards. They do this all over the Commonwealth.
So why do they do this? Why, if they're going to do ultimately whatever they're going to do anyway, then why are we even having?
Why do we have to?
Involved?
Because the decision is by the code of Virginia is when they discontinue it, it becomes the responsibility of the local governing board.
Right, but our stance on that has always been, since I've been on this board, that we don't maintain.
Well, but that doesn't work. So you either discontinue or you abandon it. You just don't get to leave it there.
but there's lots of roads that have been discontinued by VDOT but we don't service those. So I don't know how.
There's only been one
This
before
works.
this board, and that was a discontinuance on the bridge that was in the drill area since I've been here. So there's a difference. You got to remember, the rest has been abandoned. When you hear that terminology, and that bridge was discontinued on the preface that it would be used in an emergency if the main bridge had went out. That was a secondary route for be able to get transport through there. It was not, and that would be for the whole general public to be able to use during an emergency. It is not a private cemetery. That's why the VDOT labeled it discontinuance.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We're still in discussion. Do you all want to remain there, or do you want to call for the vote for Virginia Department of Transportation to do a public notice to abandon Route 871? Hearing no more, I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor for abandonment? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
I abstain.
There's three.
And three.
Well, then it fails.
We're going to have to, we have 3 abstentions? Horace, did you abstain?
No.
Okay. We will take, you will notify Virginia Department of Transportation that we are nowhere on this, and they're going to proceed with public hearing.
They will not proceed
Until
y'all make a decision with a
Okay,
public notice.
so we can hold them off for a while.
Yes, you can. I will.
Thank you for that information. Apparently, we didn't know that part, did we? All
I
right.
didn't figure there would be a tie vote.
Okay. All right. We'll revisit this another time.
Yes, ma'am.
Get them
Thank
to
you very
gravel
much.
it and fix the drainage, and we'll talk about it.
Next on the county administrator request is, of course, approval of the DUQ litter prevention and recyclable program, $19,456. I need approval for appropriation of $19,456.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, guys. Any discussion on this? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Well, and thank you. Just to break it down, Russell County gets $13,456. The town of Cleveland gets $1,595. The town of Honaker gets $1,595. This, and the town of Lebanon gets $2,810. So it's a breakdown of the $19,456. Next on the county administrator request is the 2023. This is a repetitive annual thing like organizational meeting approval for pre-authorization of operational routine monthly payments of delegated authority. I need approval.
So moved.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Did the costs come down when they let Bristol come in with the influx of prisoners over there? Or are we still maintaining?
That's why I'm going back to it. I've got to go back to that.
Costs are going up, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. The Southwest Regional Jail, your authority on the service agreement, this is the annual agreement that you're referring to. When the jail came in, the cost went up. That was one. When all the salaries of the DOC, especially during the labor issues and the shortages, all the increase in salaries, that got included into our cost too. So Tim and Horace sits on that board. They know, we hear this every quarter over and over and over. So even though our inmates are going down, as y'all have give it in part of your report, they went down from 160. We're averaging around 120 now, which is a great thing. And you would assume, and that's, you know what that means, but that our cost overall on an annual basis would go down. But with their costs going up, us reducing the inmates is not equating to a savings. It's actually balancing out. So Yeah, it's balancing, but I mean, we got to maintain. How long we can maintain a 120? We have not done that in the 8 years this board has been in place. So I need approval,
I was anticipating a big increase.
and it's going to be part of it. I need approval for the second amended service agreement on the Southwest Virginia Regional Jail Authority.
We have a motion and a second.
Yes.
We're in discussion.
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next on the county administrator request is, again, the 2023 authorized payments, a list of operational routine monthly payments of delegated authority. I need approval on this one.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second, and I don't think we need much discussion to do this, but anyway, I'll offer that. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator request is the Glade Hollow Ballpark deck repair. This just came before us as an issue. It was a safety issue that came to our attention from the Little League. The deck, during the pandemic over the last 2 years, it had deteriorated on the front section, and it needs repair. So we, Mr. Breeding and myself and the county staff and the Little League met out there on the deck repair. And part of the agreement is with the Little League to get this in because it's a public safety issue. Because right now the deck cannot be walked on and maintained, especially with kids around, and we have legal issues. With the agreement between the county and the Little League is that the Little League is going to do the labor. We will do, if we supply the materials for it, which will be through our discounts through Lebanon Block, they will pull that money and run on our accounts during that time to be able to repair that deck. The estimated cost on that deck repair, the full complete front side and the back side, is what they've got is $10,000, and it's going to have to be fixed. I mean, we had to put the picnic tables over the holes that day we was there, didn't we?
It truly is a safety issue, and it's been that way for a good while. And I think as part of it, they're going to fix a guardrail, or not a guardrail, but a handrail issue out there. So
in the bathrooms.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this.
I'd like to second.
Okay, very good. I have a motion and a second to do Glade Hollow Ballpark deck repair. All in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, you want a discussion?
Yeah, well, I
I'm
just
sorry.
want to add,
I'm just plowing on.
I went out to Honecker Little League too, and there's 22 boards. It's in pretty bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be replaced. Can we include the 22 boards there, since we're doing both jobs, and the volunteers out there can replace?
Is those on the benches, David?
It's out there. It's actually where the JV team.
You're talking about seating,
and that might be something that the school could help us with. You know, if you'll contact them, I'll take that out until you contact the school to see if
okay,
they could use some of their money to. Well, it's where they do the JV team, senior league field.
I know that Mr. Bush is down there working, around through there, and he's doing it. We and just to catch the board up too, we on the Honecker, the press box, we had to put a new roof on, which they did through the insurance. The county did not pay for that. We had to do it through the insurance. When the storms came through, it collapsed them, so we're going to be able to fix those, and we're also going to be able to fix the inside of the press boxes, so in the bathrooms, because that was part of the damage. So that would be repaired. We looked at the Carl knows that we did. There is some equipment down there that is owned by the Little League. So we're trying, and it needs work too. So we're trying to work with the Little League too, Dave.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you.
Yes. And I'll check with the school.
Okay, go ahead, Matt.
Thank you for the discussion, but remember, we will help you take care of yours up there. So, Mr. Lester, make sure that gets taken care of or looked at or put on our next agenda. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, next on the county administrator request, I'm going to introduce Shiloh Little, our tourism coordinator. she's going to give you a brief summary of the Virginia American 250 Commission.
Hi, y'all. I'm happy to come before the board today to present an opportunity for Russell County to get some funding through grants with the VA 250, which is through the American Association for State and Local History, along with the Virginia Tourism Corporation. So basically, this will allow for what's before the board is to approve a committee, which would be the VA 250 committee for the county, to also designate a liaison to work with the commission to serve as the local contact. The state commission will provide grant funding opportunities for events and programs for the 250th anniversary of the signing of Declaration of Independence, which will be coming up in 2026, which is only 3 years away. Doesn't seem real. But what's before the board is that we cannot apply for the grants unless a committee is appointed by the board, by the governing board, which would be the Board of Supervisors. So what's before the board is to approve a committee, which would be the VA 250 committee, along with a liaison. Most of the time it is a tourism director or tourism coordinator. And I would be there to able to communicate with the Board of Supervisors through the committee and also be the liaison between the state and the committee as well. So to get all the grant funding coming in, the grants, this doesn't need to be approved today because the grant closes in January. So got to get the ball rolling on this. But it'll be a great opportunity for events, educational opportunities, signage. There's about 1 million things on the grant list that it's available for to have a big blowout for the 250th anniversary. So that's what's before the board today. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. We allow Shiloh to go ahead and arrange for this committee to be set up.
And would you add liaison for Ms. Little to be the liaison, please?
Yes, I will.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
All right. Have we covered our bases here?
Yes, ma'am. This is an issue by Governor Youngkin, and he is proposing this. One of the things that will come out of this is it's an opportunity for us to showcase things that we're doing in this county. If we can pinpoint a couple, you may just have the governor step in that event. So it sounded like when we looked at it, we going, okay, and then the governor started putting his push and seal on it, saying this is going to happen. This, if you want to participate, I will be there. So this is an opportunity to us to showcase a little few things in the county, and the governor or one of his staff or the governor's staff may just show up.
And this is not just for like the 4th of July. This would be all year round for the whole year of 2026.
Well, I want to say something too. I think since Shiloh she's doing a wonderful job. She's our tourism coordinator. I would like to see her go to Richmond during the legislative session.
She already is.
Is she going?
Yeah. She's already working on the grants.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
She's also
hang around with Lou. She knows how to get that money.
We have a motion. We have a second for Ms. Little to take on the liaison piece and to make sure you have a committee. We don't need to appoint one. That's your tourism.
Yeah, you don't have to appoint one, just the approval of a committee like to be made.
You have it. So I need a motion. I need a vote. Thank you. I'm excited for you. All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Madam Chair, thank you. And that concludes the county administrative reports and requests.
Thank you very much. The next thing on our agenda is board discussions and reminders. I will start with Mr. Lovelace.
No, ma'am.
Mr. Breeding. Oh, Mr. Ray. I'm looking at Mr. Breeding.
I have nothing, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Eaton.
In our next meeting, Madam Chair, I would like to, I'm going to have to appoint a board for the new community center in Swords Creek. I really appreciate the board and their efforts. I know the heating and cooling unit's almost completed. I'm going to have a community meeting with all the people in that area to come and look and see what we need to do and some of the activities. But if anybody's out there that has an interest in that area in my district, I would appreciate your input. And so I just want to have that put on the agenda the next time, if that's okay.
That's great. Okay.
Done.
Mr. Lester, you'll see to that
Yes, ma'am.
request?
Done.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Eaton.
That's all I have.
Mr. Breeding?
As I understand it, Rebecca and I are supposed to attend an opioid session when we're in Richmond Thursday afternoon and Friday morning. You've registered us for that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You actually, unfortunately,
Thank you.
It is, and I'll talk to you about it briefly. It's one of the working. You're up there to work. I mean,
Listen, you sent me a link as well, and I thought there was a video that I was supposed to.
There is, and that's what I'll talk to you about.
Because I couldn't find it in any of that literature that you sent.
I will.
Okay.
You come and I'll get you linked up.
Other than that, I just want to tell everybody, I want you to notice this is Dr. Fauci. I won that at a Chinese Christmas thing, and it's a pen holder is what it is. So if y'all been wondering, and this is, I promised the guy that gave it to me that I'd do that. So complete. I'm done.
Okay, Mr. Breeding, thank you very much for that insightful information. Mr. Christian, do you have anything?
Yes, Carter McLaughlin spoke about him being taken off the PSA, and then the charges were dropped. Was you not designed to be put back on the Carter?
Yes, to complete my term.
And should that not be something that we as a board would take up?
That's an attorney. They have a special attorney.
You have special counsel.
They have special counsel for PSA.
I made that motion, and the motion stated that he would be suspended, it'd be a temporary suspension until the thing was litigated. And then I think it's up to our attorney to verify that,
You all had special counsel in this matter.
we have special counsel.
I was not the advisor.
Okay.
On this matter.
Okay. Well, we need to get Lonzo, if you take care of our special counsel, we just need to verify all that, I think, before we could take any kind of action. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Christian, you have anything else?
No, that'd be it.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to adjourn to reconvene in Richmond, Virginia on January, and I don't know what the date we're all going to be in that.
Majority is going up on the 7th.
The majority will be there on the 17th.
Yes. Well, let's make sure.
So we'll need a date for reconvening there, because I think it's going to be different days.
Because some of y'all are going at different times.
The legislative reception's on the evening of the 18th, correct?
That is correct. And that's normally when we reconvene before the reception. So let's just make it that's the easiest way to do. We're all at the Omni of compliments of VACO. They said they assisted us setting these up for us. So we're at the Omni. So to reconvene on the 18th, we usually do right before the caucus on the 18th. We got to be there at 5:30. Now the reception starts from 5:30 to 8. So usually we do it a half an hour before to reconvene, and then we all start off on our legislative and grants and movements and networking.
What's the consensus of this board? Are you guys okay with reconvening at 5:30 on the 18th of January?
I would do it at 5 o'clock before the reception.
All right.
Yeah, that give you 30 minutes to be able to do whatever we need to do.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make it.
I have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second that.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. At this time, we'll see you next month.